There's a land that I have heard about so far across the sea. There's a land that I have heard about so far across the sea. To have you on my dreamland would be like heaven to me. To have you on my dreamland would be like heaven to me. We'll get our breakfast from the tree. We'll get our honey from the bees. We'll take a ride down the waterfalls, and all the glories, we'll have them all, and we'll live together on that dreamland, and we will have so much fun. We'll live together on that dreamland, and we'll have so much fun. Oh, what a time that will be. Oh, just wait, wait, wait and see. We'll count the stars up in the sky, and surely we'll never die, and surely we'll never die, and surely we'll never die. That's the Dreamland. Oh.
Making Love Songs podcast. That I'm quite emotional, actually. I'm quite emotional because
beautiful song.
It's one of my favourite all-time love songs, and as much as it is a pleasure to hear it and to start this edition of Making Love Songs podcast with your version of it a cappella.
Yep.
As much as it's a pleasure, it's somewhat sad that we are discussing this great love song because of the passing of the writer, the songwriter and originator, because of course Bunny Wailer, the late great as he is now.
Yeah.
We heard the news of his death just yesterday, yesterday afternoon after an illness, a year-long illness in Jamaica. He was one of the original Wailers. So before it was Bob Marley and the Wailers, it was Peter Tosh, Bunny Wailer and Bob Marley. And Bunny Wailer and Bob Marley, by the way, are step-brothers.
Yes.
In reality, and obviously great musical partners as well. Bunny Wailer often overlooked within the context of the Wailers. Sometimes you feel like he's the George Harrison of the Wailers.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, actually. Yeah.
Bob Marley being the foremost of the songwriters in the crew. Peter Tosh obviously being the militant one who goes out on his own and strikes fame and fortune as well as a solo artist subsequently. But Bunny Wailer often overlooked, and when you think that he wrote, as beautiful as the love songs that Bob Marley wrote, when you think that he wrote this song, which seems so simple, it's also kind of a somewhere over the rainbow, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quite wistful, isn't it? And it is a bit like somewhere over the rainbow. It's like going to somewhere magical together, and he actually has lines, going to the waterfall, we'll take our honey from the bees. It's a song about living in nature and finding love within nature and within I guess he's in Jamaica and he's looking at the beauty of Jamaica around him, I'm sure, and just how that natural beauty feeds into a beautiful love song and sharing that natural beauty with someone that he loves. And I think he actually sums it up really well, and I really love this song.
Yeah, well, Jamaica is paradise. If it wasn't for, you know, certain social issues within the country, it's absolute paradise.
Yes,
the land of wood and water.
Yes.
Those Arawaks knew what they were doing when they landed in Jamaica. The Caribs and the Arawaks, the original inhabitants, they thought, this is the land of wood and water. We call it Jamaica. And that itself is a paradise. But love is a fantasy. As much as the beauty of love can evoke sentiments like this, love is in itself a fantasy. Seems to be part of the message of this. It's almost like you can't actually achieve this kind of happiness in normal love. You achieve this level of happiness
it's called Dreamland,
isn't it? In a fantasy.
He's called it's true. The thing the song is called Dreamland, so yeah, you're right, it is a fantasy. It's, you know, one of those songs where you're saying, let's forget about the world. We can go, we can take our breakfast from the trees, we can go and pick an apple, star apple, we could go and pick a mango, we can go and pick a banana, we don't have to see people, we don't have to go anywhere. Everything we need, we've found our paradise. This is our Garden of Eden, and we love each other, and everything's here. So it's a dreamland. It's like, you know, to be in that state where it's just the two of you, and everything you need is there. The waterfalls, the food, the honey from the bees, everything that you could ever want is in this dreamland, and he's trying to capture a moment where they can just be together in that world. And I think it's so beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous song.
It's also a gospel, and perhaps it's not evident that it's a gospel immediately, certainly not from the Bunny Wailer version, and he covered this several times in the kind of rude boy ska early days of the Wailers, and he covered it in the style that you'd have expected, a rock steady or slightly blue beat style that you would have expected. But Bunny Wailer has got the most angelic of the three voices of the Wailers. In terms of a voice that is copied by others, Bob Marley obviously is the prominent one. Every other reggae singer, whether it be, you know, every other reggae singer borrows from Bob Marley.
They have been influenced. They've definitely been influenced. He was a major influence of many of the roots singers, and or even singers who love reggae music. I think Bob Marley is their go-to person.
I was definitely thinking of some of the foremost of the UK's reggae singers, like Brinsley Ford of Aswad.
Yeah, you can hear the influence there.
David Hines of Steel Pulse.
Absolutely.
Etc. But Bunny Wailer, who has passed, is the one that sounded like he'd come straight out of church in a lot of his songs.
That's true.
And when you hear Third World's version of this on their album 96 Degrees in the Shade, is when you start hearing a little bit more of the gospel coming out. Although they've done it like a Satamasagana, like they would do a Satamasagana without all the horns and everything. Satamasagana being the most sort of Rasta spiritual of all folk, reggae songs. You know, Satamasagana again talks about a land far, far away where there's no night, there's only day. So it's talking about a dreamland. There is something about that motif of the fantasy of the dreamland, of the somewhere over the rainbow, that captures the imagination immediately.
It is beautiful because it does make, you know, we all want to escape, don't we? There's always, you know, many of us want to escape, not every day, but there are times that we really want to escape, and there are some songs that help you to visualize that escape. And there are some writers that have managed to find the words to answer all the things that you're thinking and feeling, you know. And this is one of them. Somewhere Over the Rainbow is another one, and there are many, but this is it's one of those songs that I guess if you're not a reggae fan, you probably would never have discovered that. You won't discover this song. It's not one of those songs that's out there, you know, with a lot of the other very popular Bob Marley songs or Bob Marley and the Wailers songs. This is it's such a hidden gem, but when you once you've discovered it and you play it a couple of times, you'll always go back to it. It's one of those, isn't it? Really.
Well, why do you think it hasn't resonated in the way of some of the Bob Marley songs, given his own history and trajectory from the Wailers? And I'm saying this is perhaps the most, or certainly one of the most, you know, but genuinely one of the most beautiful love songs that's come out of reggae. Certainly in my top 5, this would be there. I was tempted to say top 3, but certainly in my top 5, this would be there rather than my top 10. More specifically, it would be definitely as one of the most beautiful love songs in reggae. And you can take it out of reggae. You can't take the melody out of reggae. You can't take the gospel out of it. You know, the gospel works on an American gospel level, as a Jamaican gospel level from wherever the world, from all over the world. In that respect, it turns it into a bit of a folk song as well, because you could hear this being the Jamaican equivalent of alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, la, la,
it has
la,
got
la.
a gospel. It's got a very Jamaican gospel.
And
folky thing, yeah, it has, you know, like down away where the nights are gay, you know, all that kind of. Harry Belafonte used to sing a lot of those old tunes, and you know, it's got a lilt to it, but I love the lyric. I really do love, and it's not a standard in the way that it's composed either. It's not a sort of traditional composition, but what it conjures up as a lyric, and what it evokes as well, and what the sentiment, it's just really lovely. The space that he must have been in at that time of writing this, you know, it's a great love song.
He knows it's a great love song, and he would always sing this, because he's much more of in his musical frame, he's much more of a militant singer. So he's more of a root singer. His solo albums, first of all, it was Protest, you know, where he's like doing a kind of a Marvin Gaye, what's going on, and then it's Black Heart Man, which is a very deep spiritual album with a lot of gospel in it, by the way. It's got Dreamland on it. It's got This Train as well, which is one of those classics, that, you know, you'd have heard from, you know, a lot of the great American blues and soul singers. Curtis Mayfield would have done something like This Train is bound for Zion. This train, this train, and that kind of tune. And that is the aura of that album, that it's a deeply spiritual roots album. That's more where
he's
Bunny
not what
Wailer's
he's
coming
from and is known for.
And Dreamland sticks out on the album as being, and although he does it, because that's another of the versions that he does it in a kind of a spiritual way, much more so than a love song, than the earlier versions that he's got. He does it so much more so as a spiritual song on that album. But then you go forward a few years and he does an album covering the original Wailers songs. Bunny Wailer sings the Wailers, and he does it again, and it's more of a kind of a dancehall tune when he does it in that way. So he's done it three or four times.
And I think that is what inspired Marcia Griffiths probably to do her Steppers version as well, because she did a really very successful, actually, Steppers version of the same song in her you know in her way. So and she did it well too, and it worked for
But
her
I can't
too.
understand why nobody outside that Jamaican reggae frame has done this. Like, obviously, Third World, 96 Degrees in the Shade.
Yeah.
Once the album goes ballistic, people sort of hear it, and probably a lot of people will be thinking it's a Third World song. And they strip everything down, do it almost a cappella, a cappella.
They did it sort of in an Abyssinian type of style.
That's what I was saying about Sata Masagana. That was, you know, if the Abyssinians stripped down Sata Masagana, and because I think Third World did do Sata Masagana as well in that kind of style, stripped it down without the horns and everything like that, and did it almost as
almost with a Nyabingi thing.
Almost acoustically and stuff. But I can't understand why nobody outside, you know, why have there been no pop versions of this?
I wouldn't know.
Why have there been no rock versions?
I think
of this?
it's just been overlooked. I just don't know why it hasn't sort of gone into the psyche.
Is there something about the song though that doesn't quite work when you take it out? Because is it the gospel? I think it's the gospelness.
Maybe.
I think it's the gospelness, and I'm not saying American gospel artists couldn't get this, but you know, we know that.
Well, you see, what it is as well, there isn't a hook. There isn't like a recurring chorus or anything like that, you know. So Dreamland is, and you know, and to have you in my dreamland would be like heaven to me. To have you here in my dreamland would be like heaven to me. So it's one of those sort of old-fashioned sort of 50s type of songs where you have a hook at the end of the line, but it's just a very quick hook, like, you know, blah blah blah, but please don't step on my blue suede shoes, and then it's gone into like another verse. But because it's to have you in my dreamland would be like heaven to me, it's not like here is the chorus, like, you know, please don't step on my blue suede, and you know that's the hook. This is it's a very subtle hook, and the song is very subtle, but what it does is it takes you on a journey of all the beautiful things that he would like to do, experience with the love of his life in terms of nature and all the different things. So it doesn't have a huge hook, but it has a hook called Dreamland, but it's very subtle, and so I think that's why it's not an instant sort of it's not instant.
Is the hook not towards the end of your version there when he starts singing, oh what a time that will be?
If you were to reconstruct the whole song and say, okay, I'm going to sing the song, and then I'm going to say, oh what a time it will be, oh won't you wait and see, and maybe that repeated a few times through the song, or surely we'll never die, whichever line that you took, because those are the most sort of melodic, sort of not even melodic, but the most sort of prominent type of melodies in the whole song. If you were to take that melody and repeat it over and over with one lyric, then maybe people will kind of say, oh, that song that goes, because when you go to sing there's a Dreamland, what is the first melody you think of?
Well, there's a land.
That's right.
Yeah, because that's how it starts, and that's the one that. But I think when you analyse it, the most sort of the crescendo of it is
distinctive as well as looking for the most distinctive melody in there.
And I would say that it is. I mean, it's arguably a bridge rather than a hook. It's arguably a bridge rather than a hook. But actually, what stays with me from your version, because we've stripped everything down, doing it a cappella, what stays with me, and it's much more gospel-y than the verse, you know, the opening. As much as there's a land I've heard about is very much a gospel cry. I can hear the gospel in it, but I can hear it even more so when it says, oh what a time that will be. You know, that is praising God right through and through and through and through there, you know, and it's almost there are many. It's a hymn.
It's a hymn, but there are many melodies. There are many great melodies within the song, right? So all of the melodies within the song are all very special. But what doesn't happen is one refrain, one recurring block, which we can call a chorus, that everybody will say, oh, that song that goes blah blah blah. Everybody who sings this song instantly will just sing the very first 2 lines, and then later on they'll remember, oh what a time there will be. And then they might
that. In fact, they can't get to that without going through
the whole
everything
song.
else, I think. Unless, like you say, you deconstruct it in a different... Is it possible to inject something into it that will make it into a pop song? Is this just too gospel-y?
No, there's always possible. It's always possible to rework songs. I mean, whether you'll add and make it better is another thing. I mean, that's the problem. The thing is, this song works in its entirety, and
in its simplicity,
and what it is.
It's whether something can come in naturally, or it will feel as if you've just thrown that in to have a hook, and you've just used this almost like a sample.
It's too late, you know. Or if somebody was going to sample it, you'd think, okay, which bit would I sample?
It's going to be a hard one.
Yeah, which bit would I sample in order to either for everyone to remember it, to make it memorable, or for everyone to know that this is the song that it's from, you know. So, you know, I guess it would be, there's a land that I have heard about.
I don't think that's strong enough to sample.
It's not strong, but that's the one that people,
I'd have to sample, and it's not quite right, but I'd have to sample, oh yeah, what a time that will be. We'll count the stars up in the sky.
But still, it's so right, because it's not actually a set piece.
No, it's not.
These are just it's all like wishful thinking. It's very wistful. A lot of what a time that'll be. If you just wait and see.
This is an essay.
We'll count the stars in the sky. You know, it's really beautiful. It's just a lot of
essay rather
beautiful
than a poem.
thoughts.
It's an essay rather than a poem. This is if there is a problem with this song, it still works, like you say. Otherwise, I wouldn't say it's in my top 5 of all great reggae love songs. But there is.
It's the way it makes you feel, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's the way it makes you feel.
It's a feel, and that's probably part of the problem with a lot of reggae, that you know, it's a feeling rather than so it doesn't necessarily transcribe to adaptation.
Not all
and
of them. No.
Songs need to transcribe into adaptation. Great songs, because people want to sing and they don't necessarily have the groove, the vibe. I mean, I could see myself singing this, you know, trying to chirps you and singing this, you know, oh great, you know, to have you on my dreamland would be like heaven to me. But then I can't see myself repeating it.
Yeah.
To have you on my dreamland would be like heaven to me.
You lost it after that, wouldn't you?
Exactly. You've gone off with another man.
I'm at the door before.
And I'm on my dreamland by myself, having a great time. The bees are still providing me with all their honey.
But I'm not there.
And I'm taking a ride on the waterfall by myself, and I'm getting my breakfast from the trees. It's a shame you're not there, because I'm having great breakfast. Have some ackee from the trees, and all the other
lovely
fruits.
mangoes.
Why not, from the trees and everything like that.
Cheese,
but it's a shame you're not going to be there. It's such a shame. Look, I have to pay tribute to Bunny Wailer.
Absolutely, yes.
I don't know where this song came from. I suspect it came from a deep place inside as well.
Yes.
One of the greatest love songs. It's such a pity that he hasn't lived to see this song get to where it's supposed to be in the annals of great love songs. But it will get there.
I'm sure it
will get there. Someone will find that
it.
link and that hook.
And find a way of presenting it.
Some woman will stay with me when I sing it to her, and join me in my dreamland for a little bit of breakfast from the trees and some honey from the bees.
Blessing.
I will do as well. I'll pass on your blessings to her. You'll find us by the waterfall.
Not my waterfall, though.
No. Okay. Of course not your waterfall. Our own little waterfall, and we're going to take a ride on it.